Kia ora, everyone. For those of you joining, we have had an awesome discussion on the evolution of digital art moving forward to what AI art is going to do to our society. We'll have some big, hard-hitting questions from various diverse mindsets. First, talking about how photographs changed classical art, then moving on to video, to now AI generation, to the effects of how society influences and interacts with it, how it engages in human creativity, and later hypothesizing ways that technology can help us understand the difference between AI-generated art and not, and moving forward to the good future ahead of us, or maybe the uncertain future ahead. So if you're interested in any of the topics that I talked about above, please join us. This is a fun conversation. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Kia ora, everyone. Welcome back to FLINT Talks on our 7th podcast. This is awesome. What a journey this has been, team. We've gone through many different conversations, but because of the exponential scale of technology and humans' potential, we've got a million more things to talk about. And so the discussion today is going to be a very dear one. It's one that I believe is a creative endeavor for everyone that is imaginative or wants to be a creator in this world. And it's the idea of digital art and the evolution of it into the future. And if you're not interested in digital art, it's still of great importance because it will affect our lives in many different ways, as we've seen. And we're going to have that discussion. Before I get into it, why don't we introduce ourselves for any newcomers? I'm Derek. I'm a software engineer at Air New Zealand. I'll pass it over to you, Caitlin.
Hi, everybody. My name is Caitlin, and I work in customer success for an online learning platform. So all things people for me.
And lucky last, I'm Caius. I currently don't work. I'm in the middle of many months of travel. So the sparkle, the glint in my eye is just the many months I spent in Bali.
Well, look at that. You've got a diverse plethora of podcast speakers right here. I wouldn't say you're not employed. I think you're on your self-entrepreneurial journey, Caius, that you got to sell yourself better. But
That's true. That's true.
Awesome. So the way that this is going to break down is we're going to talk about essentially how digital art has changed over the years. We're talking from the inception of a photograph all the way to now Photoshop and how social media is used on to later. And it'll always go this way because I'm now running this version of the podcast, which is going to be AI art. And I think there's going to be some crazy conversations coming in that space. The first question I'm going to ask is, and I'm going to point it to you guys, how do you think the photograph changed art? And what are your thoughts on photography and that space of digital art?
How the photograph changed art. If I was to say, go back to a bit more of a philosophical answer to this, in the sense that it was able to capture moments and instill those moments for many, many years to follow. So I think the concept of how art and culture intertwines to shape future generations, I think that's kind of how I see the photograph to be the photograph being able to, I guess, change art. It's being able to capture moments in time and tell stories for, I guess forever until the photograph gets deleted by accident.
That's a fair point. What about you, Caitlin? Do you have any views on how photography has changed personally for you in your life? Have you seen its evolution?
Yeah, so photography for me, I guess, has always been similar to what Caius said about capturing moments. But I think if we go right back to when photography first came about, a really cool thing it allowed us to do was capture more candid moments. Before photography, everything was painted or drawn or sketched or whatever kind of artistic medium you were using. And so everything was stylized or you were posed in a specific way. And so I think the creation of the photograph and of photography as a whole, especially as it came down to a more everyday use, I think it's really allowed us to capture those real life moments that we otherwise would never have seen throughout history, because all of the paintings, all of the pictures were all portraits that were dressed and posed and made to look a certain way, or they were very, very artistic in the style and things like the Vincent van Goghs and the Monets and all of that kind of thing that isn't realistic. So yeah, I think it allowed us to really see life as it is.
Totally. As soon as photography came into space, there was a huge culture movement against, what is going to happen to classical art, right? But in terms of the evolution, you see classical art, forms of painting or really creative expressions, and now you have this technology that has come in and disrupted all this. It didn't really disrupt it, and in fact, it enhanced it and changed it in different ways. And now, on top of photography, what I believe from a tech nerd point of view is it enabled all these awesome things like Shop and creative tools that now manipulate photographs. And then later moving on to film and videos, which is just photos multiplied in many frames. So what tools most excite you when you see it on social media or when you see other creators use it? What tools most excite you about photography, or maybe even moving on to video and film, Caius?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you right at the beginning you told me to sell myself more as going on my entrepreneurial journey, because that's kind of where I'm going to go with this answer. In terms of the things that have excited me is around how I've been able to not need to have technical graphical design skills to whip up some great pieces of art to use for my websites that I'm currently running. And some of the things that I've been using is, so there are these tools called like Clad AI and Flare AI, which are very simple ways for me to, rather than pay for an expensive photo shoot for some products that I'm selling, some home goods that I'm selling, and not have to pay rent for a massive mansion to make it look good. You can simply describe what you want it to do and then it'll automatically do it, and is quite intelligent and quite smart. And I think that reduces the barrier quite significantly for someone like myself to get into that e-com space, because about 5 years ago when I first casually went on to my entrepreneurial journey, I'll say, when I was doing it like, I'd say part-time, and I was selling stuff online, I couldn't make it work because I didn't have a lot of the technical skills. So these tools that have since come up have enabled me to reduce that barrier. So that's kind of what excites me. There's a new tool, which I'm sure Derek has heard of, Sora AI, which I haven't got access to yet. But man, when I saw that it came out, it looks so cool. And it just opened up a whole bunch of possibilities for me to, say, create video ads for, I guess, my products, but even go further than that and tell stories in a way that I couldn't do it before. So I guess that's my experience, and it's, to sum it up, is just opening up more possibilities through AI, reducing the barriers to entry for a whole bunch of these things that previously needed technical skills.
I absolutely love that. You jump-started the whole AI conversation. I totally agree with the idea that there's going to be movements of digital art, and we're in an AI phase right now. Before I actually do my 2 cents on that, I want to touch on, which I think will aid the conversation even more, the influence it's had on advertising and entertainment. I'm talking about social media marketing, digital photography, influencers that have used digital art to improve their lives. And I want to pass that over to you, Caitlin. Like, how has digital art influenced those areas, and how does it influence our generation moving forward?
Oh, it's a big question, Derek. One thing I will say is that it's, especially in the terms of social media and influencers, I think digital art has enabled people to show a life online that they want, not necessarily the life that they have, not necessarily in an art form, but all of the tools that Caius mentioned, as well as the predecessors of it that were a lot more manual. They enabled you to change backgrounds in photos and take out extra people or adjust the little minor details to show a life that might be a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, but fantastic, maybe. I see a lot of people going to Bali, for example, since Kaius was there recently, and taking pictures in the massive tourist destinations and things, and then adjusting all the people out of it so that it looks like it's just them. And then they make the water look so much more blue, or they do this, they do that. And then when people go there in real life, it looks nothing like the photos. And so they're kind of like ripped off a little bit. So that's definitely something that I've found has been enabled by digital art, especially digital art tools. And yeah, the advertising from it is crazy. The amount of times I've ordered things, clothing that's turned up and it's not even the same color as it looks like on the website because they've edited it so much, or they've added such a crazy background that it actually cuts off part of the dress, so then it looks like it's got no sleeves, but it comes and it has sleeves, and then you really take a look at it and it's, oh yeah, there are sleeves there, you just can't see them in the photo because I've done so much editing to it. And then don't get me started on like the filters and things on Snapchat and Instagram and all that stuff, just changing what people look like online. And I could go on for days about how that creates body dysmorphia issues, especially around young women, how fitness influencers and things are using it to adjust their body in videos so that they look more toned and can sell more of the fitness program they don't even follow, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I feel like I've probably ranted on my soapbox a little bit long enough.
No,
so I will.
It's an important opinion. I'm an optimist and I do see all the things you were talking about, but I also see a society of great change, a society that has created a lot of content creators, people that are interested in photography, interested in video creation. And it's crazy. Back in our parents' days, when you ask kids what they want to be when they're older, they'll say an astronaut, a doctor, or some sort of professional university degree type role. You ask kids nowadays, they want to be a YouTube creator, they want to be a Twitch streamer, a content creator of some sort. And so I see that there is more of a creation view. And yes, with anything, it comes with its negatives. But I like to think that it's also created and enhanced human ingenuity and the human nature a bit more. But I want to tie what Kai's touched on, which I really wanted to bring this conversation to, and it's the fact of AI-generated videos and content, especially OpenAI Sora model, that is honestly insane to me when I can't differentiate what is real and what is fake, what is AI. And I want to tie what you just brought in with how it affects society. I'm going to ask you, Kaius, what are your thoughts on AI-generated images and videos for misinformation and political propaganda? And I'm asking the big questions here.
Yeah, you definitely are. And I was going to get to this point because it comes hand in hand. I struggle with it myself in the sense that it is so easy for people to get a deep fake in, like, say, a celebrity sponsor and just like sell mad amounts of things. Now, I've said well clear of that for ethical reasons, but it just frightens me to a point where it could cause mass damage. And I've always said that this is me talking about the negative side of things, and I will talk about the positive, but it does frighten me quite a bit that there were recent instances where I think I heard about Paris being burnt, the Eiffel Tower being burnt, that was circulating. There were situations where in the Russia-Ukraine war, there were deepfakes going around about, I'm pretty sure it was Zelensky, saying that they'd given up. And that is so scary that it can simply happen. I get how people can easily be fooled, because I could easily be fooled by one of those. So it's like, that's kind of scary. Where I think technology solves technology is, I think there's a way where the blockchain can eliminate some of those issues caused by humans. And just to be clear, I'm not blaming technology for being the problem. I've always maintained that it's the people that utilize technology that are more the problem. Every technology can be used for good and bad, but in a sense where with the advent of NFTs, there is a way to prove without any doubt whether something was made by somebody or somewhere at a certain time. And it has real big implications for, say, copyright, which I think would be great for digital art and the whole copyright debate. So I think if there was a way to bring in the blockchain to, I guess, verify some of those videos. So like, I don't know, Taylor Swift or Zelensky would have his own token that would then be able to verify that would be plugged into, say, certain platforms. Now, in theory, that sounds like it can work, but I'm not technical enough to know that it can't. It just sounds like a pretty cool idea that if the right brains came together, it could work. And that's where, as you are, Derek, I'm an optimist for technology.
Awesome. Well, what you're talking about is already being thought about. Blockchain is essentially a digital ledger for those that are not aware. It just can show proof of ownership down to the origin and always keep track that is immutable, which means it can't be hacked. And that's where you get technologies like Bitcoin, because if you can source all your currencies and there's a whole decentralized approach. I'm not going to nerd out on that. I am going to switch it but educate people that there are protocols and there's ways that people are looking into to then show that if something is AI generated, we can actually see it. But I actually want to focus on the positive, and I did steer you into a negative route, so my apologies for that, Kais. But I'm gonna go to a positive one, which is, what are your thoughts on, and I'm asking you, Caitlin, this question, what are your thoughts on personalized media? A future where everything is generated and a movie, a video, images. Say you have a kid and he or she is really interested in a very particular situation, very particular groups of animals, and you are able to generate a film length for that kid with generative AI. What are your thoughts on that type of personalized media future? Obviously, you can think of more examples, but yeah.
So yeah, personally, I'd love non-stop raccoon videos on my feed. My partner keeps telling me that I'll eventually see a raccoon in real life and it will destroy this really cool image of raccoons I have, because apparently they're like gross. But until then, I love all the little raccoon videos I see of them swimming and things. So yeah, I 100% could just imagine constant videos made specifically for what I want. I guess, not to bring it to the negative side again, but I think it all depends on why we consume content. So like for me personally, I watch a movie because I believe that someone's had a really creative idea and have put it into practice or made a thing. And so like I want to see what other people are creating. I don't necessarily only want to see what I want to see, because I think that will kind of put us into this teeny tiny little world where we're only seeing our stuff. We're not going to see other people's perspectives. We're not going to see what other people can think about from their imagination. And I go to art galleries because I want to see the art other people have made. I don't go to art galleries because I want to see the art that was made for me specifically, because I'm not an artist. I don't have that, well, in some ways, but I don't have that creativity, and that's why I want to see it from other people. And so, yeah, I can see definitely for kids and for specific moments in time, if I'm having a sad day, yeah, show me all the animal photos. If I'm trying to be motivated, show me all these really motivated people going out and doing things, and then it'll bring me that vibe too. But yeah, I think in terms of viewing art for what art is, I don't think I'd want that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair opinion and a point, because I believe what you're saying is true, because you're not going to watch two chess computers play against each other, even though it's 100 times stronger than a human. And you're going to watch humans play against humans because it romanticizes it. There's errors, there's emotions. And I think it's the same with art. It's the same with video. It's the same with images. There'll be a premium on human-generated content for sure. But we're going to get an influx of definitely AI-generated content. I just see it as the future, whether we like it or not. And tools such as Sora, which Kais have mentioned, and many more from Google and any other AI lab will continue to push this out. So it's a crazy world that we're moving into, seeing the whole progression. I want to end on a more business-oriented discussion, and I'm going to ask you, Kais, for the final question. I know you're starting your own little thing. You don't have to go into the details if there's some money involved, but how are you using digital art in your entrepreneurial journey? How is it benefiting you?
the short answer is it's enabled me to, I guess, live the life that the 14-year-old dreamed of, in the sense that I can be anywhere in the world and still make an income. And what I mean by that is that with the AI tools that I've been using, as I said before, there's a way where you can take photographs in a sense that you don't necessarily have to be in a certain area or be in a certain climate to eventually do it and take those photographs. That's for the e-com websites that I'm doing. I guess the other component to this is I'm building software, or I'm learning, well, actually I learned how to build software on the side. And without the AI, or without coding, I don't even know how to code one, but I've been able to build real cool prototypes and then make them work, actually, which was just quite cool. So I guess AI has enabled me to, in many ways, live a life I hadn't before because of the whole bunch of barriers I kind of spoke about before. So yeah, I know that's a vague answer, but I guess that's kind of how I've been using it.
Yeah, totally. I want to point it over to you, Caitlin. What excites you from a non-technical point of view? Because Kais and I talk, we're just going to talk about AI and we're going to be super nerdy. I want your point of view. What excites you about this future that we're heading into about digital art?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be really cool to allow those of us that may not be super technical or super creative to create. It's going to let us see the world in more ways and experience parts of the world that we potentially would never be able to go to. And my hope is that people will use it to inspire their own creation instead of just using it to replicate what everyone else is doing. And what I mean by that is using AI for the ideas and kind of the inspiration rather than actually just creating and putting it out there as the thing that it is. And I know a lot of people aren't going to do that. They're just going to create an AI and put it out there, and something that took them 5 minutes, they're going to pretend that it took them however long an actual artist would. And I don't know, I would like to think that people will use it to better the creativity of humans, but we'll see.
We'll see. I'm optimistic. I know that there's huge changes happening, and it is unfortunately destabilizing the whole creator space. Like, there was a couple of things. Tyler Perry, he's a well-known movie director. He pulled out of $100 million studio upgrade, which will create a lot of jobs for creators after he saw Sora, the video generation platform. And also we have things like 11 Labs, which is a voice generation company that have partnered up with Disney Accelerator, which means that future characters and content creators that would come in and have to speak their voice may not actually need to do that anymore because they're generating these voices and probably licensing them. And so this kind of future is happening, and they're happening right under our toes right now. And it will definitely change the economy and society in a way. But I would love to remain optimistic about democratization of it, because if you have access to more, you can create more. And I believe human ingenuity will always prevail. And there will always be more good creations than bad or replicated ones. That's my irrational view, irrational optimism, but it's there. And I thank you both for the discussion. It was quite diverse in various areas, and that will be us for this podcast. Join us for the next. I want to thank TUANZ for sponsoring this and enabling us, and I want to promote a FLINT event. It's in Wellington. It's our Jonathan Waker Warehouse Group event, so please go there. He's doing one in Auckland pretty soon, but there'll be the one in Wellington by the time you listen to this, for those Wellingtonians out there. So enjoy that piece, and yes, thank you. Thank you both.